Good evening and welcome to Chesapeake Public Schools Family Empowerment webinar presented by the Office of Family and Community Engagement. I am April Darnell, one of the FACE specialists. Our office, which is under the Department of Engagement, seeks to create meaningful partnerships in order to inspire, engage, and empower families, educators, and community agencies to support the initiatives of Chesapeake Public Schools. We are typically available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and can be reached by our main phone line at 757-482-5923 or at face@cpschools.com. Thank you for joining us tonight as we discuss Chesapeake Public Schools' new learning management system, Canvas. Before we begin, I want to let you know this webinar is being recorded to share on our Chesapeake Public Schools YouTube channel. Participants' cameras and the chat feature have been disabled. Due to the high volume of attendees tonight, the Q&A feature has also been disabled. All participants will be provided a video of tonight's presentation that will contain links to relevant information directly from Canvas. We will also provide the CPS Help Desk link for questions that are specific and not answered in the provided documents. To educate and provide information to our families, we are excited to have Ms. Gigi Badawi, the Assistant Director of Instructional Resources, Services, and Technology. Welcome, Gigi. We are so excited to have you here with us tonight, and I will go ahead and turn the program over to you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to see so many of you here. Along with me today is Dr. Jeff Faust. He is our Chief Technology Innovation Officer. He's here there he is. He's here with us as well. We have both worked very hard on this particular implementation of Canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I'm going to disable my camera. And we're going to go over some of the cool features that you all are going to experience as parents. Okay, ready? Here we go. So with Canvas, I'm kind of like that 2-year-old child. I want to know exactly what it is that we've gotten ourselves into. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time with you all this evening, and we are going to go over what exactly makes Canvas tick. So if you look on this next slide here, what if there was a single platform where students could actually know their due dates for every single assignment, where they had a place where they could just log in one place and they would be able to access all of their resources and their content? What if parents could see their progress in this platform, be kept up on due dates, and even communicate with teachers? And what if our teachers had a single platform for grading, assigning work, communicating with our kids, presenting resources, and making it so that our kids have some form of differentiated instruction? Wouldn't that be a cool thing to have? So let's take a look. We all know that students are very curious by nature. They're always asking why. I'm absolutely that eternal 2-year-old who will always ask why, because we all need to have a rationale when we're taking on new adventures or new implementations. So one of the first things that we did here in our district was to include the why. Why are we switching? And we decided that to make the switch, we would do so because of the following. The Canvas Learning Management System is an essential tool to access the CPS curriculum, as well as for designing high-quality online instruction. The LMS is an instructional environment that's going to be used to personalize instruction, to engage our students, and to build those types of relationships that we know are so important as our children grow. The one-to-one initiative, as you all are aware, brought forth an amazing opportunity for us to really dive in and transform how we see education and instruction happening in our district. And remember, the goal is never to teach the technology itself, but rather to transform instruction through the integration of technology. As important as the curriculum and the instructional practices, the LMS is a great way to deliver the content, to personalize that instruction, to build relationships, and most importantly, to engage our students. So, one of the other things we had to consider is why would we change? And to be honest with you, Canvas is being used in over 100 school divisions in our state. We have had multiple regional and statewide meetings focused on it. They were even gracious enough to offer all sorts of professional development, and the public universities in our state are even using it. So it just made sense to go with an LMS that, quite frankly, had a lot of wonderful instructional tools, but that children will see after they graduate from our high schools, whether they enter into industry or enter into university. Some of the interesting features that we found in Canvas is something called Canvas Commons. Canvas Commons is a great place for our teachers to pull resources, not only from Chesapeake Public Schools, but from others around the nation who utilize Canvas. Canvas Studio is an amazing tool that the kids will learn to use to create videos. Once you have your child hooked on Canvas Studio, you're going to see how easy it is for them to differentiate how they deliver what they know to their teachers. Parents, you're going to love the fact that there's a giant Canvas community out there. And no, it's not only for teachers, it's out there for students, it's out there for our parents. And it is super easy to find a lot of things and information, videos, guides, anything you could possibly think of. It's probably on that Canvas community. And we'll take time to go over that in a moment. In addition, the student and the parent and the teacher apps are all very easy to use and easily downloadable from most of the iPhone and the Android stores. So we'll cover that as well. So now that we know why, now the next thing we had to figure out is the how. Because with the how, as you see, this young girl right here is trying to learn to read. And in doing so, she's figuring out how to match up those letters, how all of those sounds are going to make sense. And all of that process has to take place so that that child can read that book on her own one day. So the next question is always going to be, how? How are we going to make the switch? So we took it upon ourselves to come up with an implementation plan. We started well before the summer of 22, but we actually started a formation of implementation teams and introductory courses. By the fall of 2022, we were offering training sessions, and as you can see, by this fall, we are in full deployment mode. So not only did we have to think about how are we going to prepare our faculty and staff, but we also had to keep in mind, how are we going to prepare our students? So in the spring, we did provide a class that our kids were all able to access, as long as they were on our Chesapeake network, and they were able to go through various modules. They were able to explore and see exactly what they would be expecting in this school year. And the wonderful thing is that this is still available to all CPS students, and it is there for a resource in case they ever need to look back on anything that they need or that they have questions about. So we've got the why, we've got the how. Now, here's what I like to call the wow. All right. Because in order for something to be truly embraced, it needs to have a couple of wow factors. And that's what we're all here to talk about this evening. So let's start talking about how the wow is going to hopefully impress all of you out there. So as you can see, kids are easily excited. They love that wow factor. So for us as adults, though, I'm sure that we have different kinds of experiences as far as what makes us just kind of go, woohoo. So you ready? All right. So Canvas has a lot of information on parent accounts. I'm not going to go over this with you specifically, but all of you will receive this particular presentation at the end of this webinar. And I've provided a link here for you to take a look. The next thing that we're going to look at, which is I know one of the things that all of you wanted to do, was how do you as parents monitor your child's courses and their progress? So in Canvas, we have something called Parent Observer Codes. And once you have that code, you can look at the due dates, you can look at course content, you can connect with your teachers. And it's all very easily done from any browser, really. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look step by step how this process is going to work. So first of all, you're going to need your child to log into their Canvas account. And I have two screens up here. So the one to my left, you can see there's an arrow pointing to the account. Now this is the child's account. They're going to click on that. Then they're going to go to settings. In the far right of their screen, they're going to see an area where they can pair with Observer. The beauty of it is that your child will be able to provide you with their Observer code. You will not have to rely on anyone else to do so. Please keep in mind that one Observer code per person. So if there are two of you in the household, each of you will get your own special code. So once your child has provided you with the code, there it is. Somebody will need to write it down because you're going to need this later. So that code is what your child will share with you as parents. Now that you as the parent have the code, you will go to a website specifically designed for parents, and that is also going to be linked for you in the presentation. And what you will do is you'll get to this particular login screen that's in blue on the left of my screen. You're going to click here for an account. Once you do that, you'll see the parent sign up form that's located to the right of my screen. You'll enter your name, your email. You'll select your password at this point, and it's going to be important to remember that password because you're going to need it for the parent app as well if you decide to use it. Then you're going to enter your child's student pairing code. Once you do that, simply click Start Participating. If you are the parent of a secondary student, once you've done that, you will see a dashboard similar to this. This dashboard is of an existing student. Yes, I do have permission from the parent to show you all this. So as you can see, to the left of the screen is what we call a global navigation bar. That is the blue navigation bar all the way to the left, and it will default you to the dashboard. As you can see here, this is a high school student, and all of the students' classes are listed right here on the dashboard. So you and your student both would just simply click on one of these, what Canvas calls as cards, to get into the class. If you take a look, though, to the right of the screen, you should notice where it says To Do. That is an amazing tool that allows our students and you all as parents to keep track of exactly what is due and when. Obviously, this was an older screen capture, so all of those things are all done. It'll even show you the point value, when it's due, the time, etc. So it's a really great tool to have. Now, for our elementary students, parents, when you all log in, you may see a bit of a different screen, or your students might see a bit of a different screen as well. So let's take a look at this. So with our littles, as we like to call them, with our elementary school children, we have created an environment in which they can simply click on one location, but then they have their English class, their math, their science, their social studies all in one place. So they don't have to worry really about where to go as far as, like you saw in the secondary. With this one, the announcements for elementary folks will appear at the top, and then all of their subjects will be below. As parents, you will also see due dates to the right. This, again, was an older screenshot, and I don't have any due dates for anything right now. But this is what your kids will see when they log in if they're elementary school students. So again, that's pre-K through 5. All right, let's continue. Some of the other great things that you will be able to see as a parent is the calendar. I must tell you that the Canvas calendar is very impressive as far as I'm concerned. Imagine being a student and having as many assignments as this particular child has. Look at his Wednesday. Has. It's a great way for that child to not only access those assignments, but just to keep track. You as a parent, and this is in parent view, you as a parent will be able to follow along as well. So both of you will see the same things on the calendar. So you'll notice off to the left again, we've got that blue global navigation bar. The dashboard is where you will end up being defaulted to. Courses, it's just a list of the courses that your child or children are enrolled in. And then you'll click down to calendar. As you can see here, off to the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's a list of all of the calendars and they're in various color codes. So you may turn on and off some of these calendars as well. And that is the calendar feature. Let's continue. The next tool that we see on the dashboard, on the global navigation panel, is the inbox. And I did want to make sure to cover this with all of you. With the inbox, you as parents will be able to select a course and communicate with with the teacher. You may do so also through, obviously our normal CPS email and through Synergy. What I did want to clarify, however, is that when you're clicking on insert or select names, you're going to see a drop down that does say teachers, students, and observers. But please rest assured that the only student with whom you will be able to communicate through Canvas is your own child or your children. You will not be able to communicate with any other students in this district for privacy reasons. So you would simply select the course name, select the teacher's name, insert a subject, type in whatever message you would like to type, and click send. It's that simple, and it's all in one location. As we continue, you will be able to view assignments. You're going to be able to view, like we said, we're going to be able to view assignments. You're going to be able to view due dates, and that's all. There are some tools that will have a link and it'll look live to you, and you may think that, okay, maybe I can access that, but that's not going to be the case. There's discussion boards and things like that. So anything where other students are involved, to maintain those students' privacy, you will not be able to access those things. So now I'm showing you the screen again from the high school perspective. When you click the courses, you will be able to see their assignments. However, you as a parent will not be able to submit the assignments for the students. Obviously, the students need to be submitting their own assignments. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's move right along. So ladies and gentlemen, that is how you would gain access to the observer role in Canvas. So very quickly, just to recap, your student is going to go to their account in Canvas. They'll click on Settings. They'll click Pair with Observer. They'll provide you with the code. You will use the link that's specially created for parents. You'll click here for an account, complete the information, including the code that was provided to you, and start participating. And then you will have access to the majority of what your child will see. So hopefully that is clear, and the instructions are even written into this presentation. You all will have all of that at the end. All right, let's keep going. So the wonderful thing about Canvas is that the company provides a downloadable app, and it's accessible in the App Store for iPhone. It's accessible in the Android stores. So it's readily available for most of your common smartphones. We do have video links here for you in this presentation that will take you through what it looks like to get the parent app downloaded, what it'll look like for you, and the same with the student app as well. So the apps are very easy to use. We're sure that you will enjoy them. And if your students wanted to keep track of things while they're on the go over the weekend, the Canvas student app is as honestly, it's pretty good. I've used the Canvas app not only as a teacher, but I've also used it as a student with some classes that I've taken before. So I think all of you will find this tool exceedingly useful, but not only just useful, but very user-friendly. And I think that's so important today, especially with so many apps, and we need things to be intuitive. So let's take a quick look. So this is what the parent app icon, the Canvas parent app icon will look like. It is just a white square with the blue circular icon there. And in order to get started for your first time when you're using the app, and the same process will hold true for your students as well, by the way. So one of the ways to do this is when you click on that app, it'll say Find My School. Well, you're going to just start typing Chesapeake, and then you will select Chesapeake Public Schools Parents Guardians. Once you've done that, it'll automatically associate you with your child, and you will be able to see your child's courses, and you'll be able to click their calendar in there, as well as any other information to which you have access as a parent. It is that simple. It's maybe 3 clicks. The other things that we have here for you this evening is that we've tried to compile as many links and information regarding Canvas, because we know that you may have questions that we're not going to be able to answer this evening due to the size. So what we've done this evening is that we've created a virtual flyer. And if you wish to view this flyer, this is a video that was created by us to actually show you the elementary student view. This is a really great video to watch. It'll help give you an idea of how exactly your students will navigate the elementary view and why it's so important. In addition, for those of you with kids in middle and high school, we do have another one that's available for you. And these will provide you with videos that are directly coming from Canvas that will show you more about the dashboard, the calendar, the assignment feature, and all sorts of things like how to customize course notifications, more information about the student app, and the Canvas help section. Moving right along. We also have, mentioned to you about the Canvas community and how there's so many interesting materials there. This is a screenshot of what the Canvas community homepage looks like, and it's linked in this particular presentation as well. Not only can you find out, highlights and just little videos that they are constantly updating as in their featured content, but you can also see their roadmap as a parent to see what are they going to do for us in the future. Ideas, there are all sorts of guides for you as far as parents are concerned. There's guides for your students as well. So the Canvas community, I think most of you will find that it is probably one of the most powerful resources that we all, not just teachers, but parents and students. It is one of the most powerful resources that we can have. And the wonderful thing is that all of you, once you get your observer codes and you're all set up in Canvas, you'll be able to access it through the help navigation, through the help link in the global navigation bar, that blue bar. Oh, sorry. All right. A couple more things before we close. We are also wanted to highlight our newly redesigned webpage. Our webpage includes information from a CPS perspective about what is Canvas, how can parents access it, what can you see, some help, and an FAQ as well. So I have a link to the particular resource, and I also have a link to CPS Help Desk. CPS Help Desk is something that we've been using now for a couple of years in our department, and it's designed to make sure that families, teachers, students all have a way to access and ask questions. And this is what April was referring to in the beginning when she was making the introduction. So I'm going to click on that very quickly and show you CPS Help Desk, because this is the way that you can reach out for assistance for technological problems. Your students can do the same as well. So let's switch over very quickly to the help desk. Give me 1 second. And now all of you should be seeing the CPS Help Desk screen. And you'll notice up at the top, you'll see Submit a Request. I'm signed in, so it'll likely take me to my particular portal. But as a parent, you could click Submit a Request and then simply type in your question, give it a title, and you'll hit Submit. It'll walk you through it. All of us are very familiar with how to fill out forms on the web. It's something very similar. But not only is it a great way to reach out to us for assistance, it's also a very useful tool in that we have several articles that are available to every single one of you on how those that are related to you. Like, you will not probably see anything on this particular topic here, but those that are relevant will appear for you. And we have plenty of resources and resource articles as well. So in addition to everything we have for you as a parent through Canvas, we also have wonderful resources for all parents on instructional technology and technological items through our CPS Help Desk. So I'm going to, I know that everybody's time is exceedingly valuable, and we did make sure to keep that in mind when we created this presentation. So right now, we are at the end of our presentation. So just as a friendly reminder, remember, in order to become an observer to your child, your child will have to provide you with that wonderful code right there. And as a parent, you're going to go in, fill in all the blanks, and then you'll start participating. You'll see your child's classes in one form or the other. You'll have access to their calendar. You'll have access to view their assignments. You will not have access to complete their assignments, but you will be able to view them. You'll also be able to view any content as well. Please keep in mind, discussion boards will not be available to parents due to privacy reasons. You will be able to compose messages, but rest assured, the only people that parents can message are the teachers and your own children. And you have the ability to download the parent app if you're interested. Same with your child if they're interested in downloading the student app. And those instructions are available for you as well. And for more information, we have provided additional resources and information on CPS Help Desk. And ladies and gentlemen, with that is all the time I'm going to take, because I know every single one of you are very busy. Thank you so much for joining us for this very brief introduction to Canvas that included how to access Canvas as a parent, the parent app, and other important information. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope all of you have a wonderful night.